Look, yeah, the anti-Semitism in Australia seems to be off the charts compared to other Western nations. There's been the leafy suburbs of Sydney and places where there have been long held Jewish communities are being attacked, vandalised. It's been, paint. It's been bombings. It's been fire bombings. It's been attacks on cars. And Jewish people in Australia are saying enough is enough. Yet it seems the New South Wales government, Chris Minns, has come down hard, but it feels like the federal government is trying to hold the tension of those who want something done about it and those on the more left framework who see Israel as the problem and want to have this idea of Jewishness apart from a Jewish state.
Yeah, you say that the Labor government, well, the federal Labor government is struggling to hold in tension. So what are the forces that are at work that it's trying to grapple with it? It can't simply just be that there's a bunch of Muslims whose vote they want.
No, and I don't think that's what I've seen. What I've seen is well-educated, well-heeled Westerners who have a framework of critical race theory, who have a framework of the colonial, having events at universities. And it doesn't seem like it's the average Western suburb imam who's having a go at anything.
No.
It feels like the opposite of that.
And what's really interesting is that a number of the people arrested for these anti-Semitic attacks, very few of them are quite clearly Muslims, right?
Yeah. No, and it's from the right and from the left, which is worrying, right? And
yes.
So what you're seeing, I think, is the permission to do it. And what happened is the government did not clamp down on it early. So, and people don't have confidence in the government that they will say anything about it. Now, I'm going to say the vibe shift might come back to bite the Prime Minister on the bum come the next election. And one of the issues will be this, but people have been quietish about it. If you went to Melbourne a year ago and you walked down the street on a Sunday or a Saturday, it was a scary place to be. And if you were Jewish, you probably wouldn't go out.
Exactly. And I did notice, like last week, there was a small, pitiful, ludicrous, actually, quite laughable little protest by some neo-Nazis in South Australia. And the police clamped down on them really, really quickly. And I noted on Twitter the charges were concealment, so like face concealing, attempt to conceal, and some other stuff. And
but you can do 10,000 of those things in Melbourne. And
well, here's the thing. What good on the South Australian government and the police there for dealing with that promptly. I mean, literal Nazis out on the street, yeah, there are some limits to free speech, and that's probably everything. But here's the thing. What did they actually do that we haven't seen weekend after weekend on our streets? Faces being covered, support of proscribed terrorist organizations, and well, it all kicked off, didn't it? Right after the whole October massacre began, and then we had that first protest that went to the Opera House, and
it hasn't gone away from Sydney, because I was running the other week around the Bay in Sydney, inner west. Good progressive people that we are, and I ran past two women, well-heeled older women, one carrying a Palestinian umbrella because it was raining, which said "from the river to the sea."
Yeah.
And so once you've normalized it at that level where you've got umbrellas with it printed carried by old ladies, then you've got a problem.
Which is a straight genocide. That is a genuine genocidal thing. River to the sea, Palestine will be free. That is free from Jews. That's what it means, right?
Yes. And so it does mean that. And maybe she might be horrified to think that, but there's a virtue signal aspect of it. And I think the vibe will shift. I think surely we'll get to the point where we're disgusted enough with it as a people that we'll push harder against it. But I think people are cowed into silence on it. And that comes from the cultural push. And so Jewish people are starting to speak up. And I notice that it goes from the Australian newspaper, Conservative. Eventually it's front page Sydney Morning Herald and The Age nearly every day at the moment.
And it will be telling when we get those commentators going, enough is enough. This cannot stand. Yeah. At the moment, it seems to me it's still in the zone where it's the political battle. It's one side accusing the other side of politicizing it,
and
as opposed to both sides.
Wants that. I think he wants it resolved, but he doesn't know how to within his own party.
In his own party, he's got the hard left, particularly in Victoria and everywhere, for whom that paradigm of oppressor and oppressed is just the dominant way they still perceive everything, right?
It
So
is.
the vibe is still there. The vibe is still there. Why don't we say that?
Yeah, the vibe is still there. Things might change. We'll see where it goes. But something has to change. And we'll talk about that in a future episode because this isn't going away.